Get ready to embrace debate. First Take starts now.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to First Take, live from the Clevelander in Miami. It's time to meet the stars of the show. The man who said the Spurs would win in 6, Skip Bayless. And the moment you all been waiting for. He just got off his private jet. You know him as the mayor of South Beach. Give it up for Stephen A. Smith! Welcome to First Take, ladies and gentlemen. We are live in Miami.
Party in the city where the heat is on all night, on the beat till it breaks of dawn.
Welcome to
Miami, being eating all me, bounce in the club where the heat is on all night, on the beat till it breaks of dawn. I'm going to Miami. I'm rolling to Miami.
He's rolling to Miami, ladies and gentlemen.
Jig it out. Here I am in the place where I come back home.
It's time. It's time for what the mayor of South Beach has been waiting for. First Take at the Clevelander Hotel on South Beach with a very rowdy crowd. Stephen A., the mayor.
What's up, y'all? What's up, y'all?
That's not going to work here.
Ha-ha!
Thank you guys so much for coming out. Thank you. Thank you. No hate. We love you. Thank you.
Oh, 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 oh.
Somebody is acting up. Okay.
Yeah! What's up, baby?
Miami, you have welcomed your mayor. We thank you. Please be nice and give it up for Skip Bayless.
Wait, hold on. Is that the loudest you can boo? You can't boo any louder than that? Come on.
We are so happy to be here. Thank you so much for coming out. We hear you. You say heat in 6. Let me tell you who's coming on the show today so you guys can be really excited. You know him because all he does is win, win, win. DJ, help me out. He'll be on the show to talk about his Miami Heat as well as Flow Rider. We also have Jared Dudley. He plays for the Clippers, small forward. He'll be here on the show today. We have a lot to talk about, so let's get right to it, shall we?
Yes, we
Hold
should.
on.
You want to say something?
Yes, I do.
Address the crowd, sir.
Do you realize? Just a second. Today, I am the easiest target in all of sports.
Oh, boy.
Right? And, hey, I must say, for those in our viewing audience, it is steaming hot out here. So listen, I'm just glad. Time out. Hold on. I'm just glad LeBron's not on the show today because I don't think he could finish this show. I don't think he could.
I'd like to say one thing. All I have is one question. Do I get y'all vote as mayor of South Beach? That's all I want to know.
You know what's funny about that?
Go ahead.
When we're in San Antonio, I don't need to ask for votes. I just have the votes.
You do
right?
have the crowd. Yeah.
Stephen A. has to campaign for mayor of South Beach. You have to ask them to vote for you.
Because I care about the people. I don't take their affection for granted. I care about the people.
Is that why I got detained at the airport?
That is why. They were mad
said
at
it was
you.
on orders from the mayor's office.
You know what? What's so funny about this crowd is I love that Skip is already trolling you guys. You guys are already with it. He
Let's
likes
get it
that.
on.
You know that? So y'all ready? Are you ready? Let's talk about Game 3 tonight. The series is tied up 1-1. And Skip and Stephen A. have already made their picks. Skip says that he's going with the Spurs in 6. Stephen A. says Miami in 7. You both, however, agree that after games 3 and 4, the Spurs could possibly win one game here in Miami. So let's talk about game 3 tonight. Who wins?
Well, tonight, for game 3, it's the Heat. They will win tonight. Because what you don't want is to put yourself in a situation where you're in a 2-1 hole having to win a game 4 on your home floor. I'm going to say what I said just yesterday. With the exception of the fourth quarter of game 1, when San Antonio hit 14 of 16 shots, all 6 of his three-pointers, LeBron James was out for the last half as far as I'm concerned with the cramps. The Miami Heat have looked like the better basketball team. They've looked faster. They've looked more athletic. And then in the aftermath of game 2, you had Greg Popovich on record saying, look, they've got an individual that they can go to and say, take us to the promised land. I'm paraphrasing, but that's essentially what he said. Whereas we are a team, the ball can't get stuck. We have to move the basketball. We have to depend on one another. That's not to say that Miami doesn't have to do that. Chris Bosh has shown up in this series. He's averaging 18 and 6. Dwayne Wade has made pivotal shots. Ray Allen has played well, okay? But in the end, LeBron James is averaging 30 and 8 on almost 59, 60% shooting. And the reality is simple. When all else fails, the Spurs are an elite team. There is no doubt about that. But they have one problem. They don't have King James. And that is that. The Miami Heat will win tonight's game, and they will win it by about 15.
So Stephen A. Smith, could you please remind these people of what your overall prediction is for this series?
Miami Heat in 7.
In 7. So, wait a minute. They have King James on their side. They have momentum on their side. They have Spurs reeling on their side. And yet you still say that the Spurs are going to climb right back into this series and get a Game 7 at home?
Well, I'm sorry.
How is that?
I'm sorry. Let's not try to be slick and get the crowd. They're not going to side with you. You have no hope of that. Get over that. Here's the reality.
I'm going to win this crowd over before it's over.
It won't happen. In the end, what it comes down to is that it'll be tough because the San Antonio Spurs are an elite team. But you don't need to win all 7 games. All you need is 4. And at the end of the day, the Heat will have 4 victories before the San Antonio Spurs will.
Okay. I want to be very clear before I make my prediction for tonight's game 3 about what my overall prediction remains. The Spurs will win this series in 6 games in Miami. Now, obviously, my heart is telling me I need this game 3 tonight in Miami.
It is.
My head is telling me, and I'm just being honest here because I'm always honest on this show, my head is telling me that your Miami Heat will win tonight. Just a gut feeling, and I can't get over it. I might still be reeling from what happened at the end of Game 2, because I must admit publicly, the more I slept on Game 2 as we traveled yesterday, what a long day that was. Traveling.
Too long.
Yeah. The more I had time to think about Game 2, it started to feel a little Game 6-ish from last year. It started to feel in my psyche like the Spurs had it on a silver platter, up 1 point with under 2 minutes to go with the basketball. And they gave it away. I made the case yesterday the Spurs lost that game more than the Heat won that game. And it's hard to recover from that in 48 hours. So I think tonight is going to feel a lot like Game 2 did here last year. You remember last year? The Heat won by 19 in Game 2. Mario Chalmers had a Super Mario game. He led the team with 19 points. What has happened to Mario Chalmers in Games 1 and 2? He has 8 total points and 8 fouls. So he went Dallas Cowboys in the first 2 games. He went 8 and 8. Right? Mario went 8 and 8. So tonight, he'll be the leading scorer. I think he'll have one of those Mario games at home. And again, the momentum is Miami's. They're feeling good about themselves. I think tonight will be their night to beat their chests at home. I think you can make the case at this point because the momentum has swung so badly. Remember what I was saying before Game 6 of the Western Conference Finals?
Right.
You could say that the three best players on the court between Oklahoma City and the Spurs, Durant, Westbrook, and Ibaka. Well, now I can make the case. You're making the case for me. The three best players on the court tonight will be King James, Dwayne Wade, and Chris Bosh.
Hold on.
Am I right?
Hold on. Hold on. I've heard enough. Don't y'all cheer. Don't allow him to swindle you. Don't allow any of that stuff. Don't fall
I told
for
you
it.
I was going to win him over.
Skip Bayless said that the San Antonio Spurs were going to win in 6. So if they were to lose, if they were to lose tonight, the San Antonio Spurs would have to win 3 straight. There is no way in hell Skip Bayless believes that they will win 3 in a row. So he is lying. He's just trying to set it up so he can sit there and hedge his bets. I said that San Antonio could probably win tonight, or they could lose either way. No, he picked the Spurs in 6, and that is that, which means he knows in his heart that they have to win tonight in order to win the series
know that.
in 6 games.
Wait,
you can't beat Miami 3 straight.
Wait, is it over tonight if the Heat win? Will they just declare the series over?
Your prediction
You mean they won't play?
Your prediction's over.
It is not over.
No.
Wait, you said there's no way.
Are you saying San Antonio will win?
Do I get to speak today? Do I get to speak?
No.
I know it's your show, Mayor, but do I get to speak?
Mayor, can he speak?
I will allow him to speak.
Okay.
I will allow him
you've
to
been
speak.
granted.
You said there's no way in hell
that
my Spurs win 3 straight. There's a way in heaven that my Spurs win 3 straight. That's what's going to happen. They will win. I'll just give you the scenario.
Go ahead.
Steal Game 4, go home, win Game 5, and guess what would happen then? Mr. King James Stephen A. Smith. We'd be right back here for Game 6.
Deja vu.
Game 6.
Yeah.
Spurs in 6.
The blasphemy.
I like it.
The blasphemy coming out of your mouth right now. I almost have security arrest you. Are you trying to say
I need security to protect me?
Are you
Where's
trying
security?
to say that the Miami Heat will lose 3 straight in the NBA Finals and get closed out?
That's exactly what he's saying.
I just said it. So tonight, I got the Heat free and easy, almost a victory parade of a game tonight.
Okay.
I got 101 to 87 home team. I got it.
Well, he's not wrong about that.
Okay.
He is right that the Miami Heat will win tonight.
Right.
I believe they'll win by double digits.
Right.
I'm predicting a score more like 103-88.
Okay.
But in the end, I think he's not being honest. Because he knows he doesn't believe that Miami will lose 3 straight in the NBA Finals.
He is sometimes duplicitous, as you would say, Stephen A.
I am. Did you just say that?
He says that about you.
He says it.
Yeah.
If you say it, then we have a problem.
I think sometimes you are, especially in front of this crowd. Just a little bit. No.
Please.
Yo. Well, anyway, Chris
now
Bosh.
It's 2-on-1 on this show.
2-on-1. Yeah, we're in Miami. We're Chris Bosh, ladies and gentlemen.
Don't be
Is he
nervous.
the X
Don't be
Factor?
nervous.
Do I look nervous?
Don't be nervous. You do look a little nervous.
Oh, please.
I love it. Stephen A. has said Chris Bosh is the X Factor all along. His coach, Eric Spoelstra, also agrees. Let's take a look at what he said. He said he's arguably our most important player, and it's not just because of that shot on Sunday. He's one of the most stable, mentally tough guys I've ever been around. That's why it raises the hair on the back of my neck when people question him. He has absolute championship DNA. That's about Bosh. Stephen A. Smith, you said it, but is he the most important player on that team?
I believe that I'm not going to say he's the most important player because obviously that's LeBron.
Right.
But he is the biggest X factor because we don't know what we're going to get from Bosh, but we do know what he's capable of. When Chris Bosh is on his game, the Miami Heat wins basketball games. He's 6'11". He's got a J. He's got a three-point shot. He can help spread the floor. He plays solid defense. He can do a lot of different things. But you desperately need him in this series because if he's not effective offensively, then the Tim Duncans and the Thiago Splitters of the world don't have to guard him, which means they can lollygag in the paint. And if they do that, they take away the interior offense that Miami can throw in their direction. So Chris Bosh is incredibly pivotal because his ability to spread the floor opens up lanes for Ray Allen, for Dwayne Wade, for LeBron James. That's why he's so pivotal. So when you're averaging 18 and 6, you're putting the San Antonio Spurs on notice that I'm somebody you need to pay attention to and watch out for. And that three he hit was so big, not just literally in terms of Game 2 results,
right,
but figuratively and subliminally speaking, because by him hitting that three, you made sure that San Antonio recognizes they have to spend the rest of this series respecting you. And as a result of it, that's going to open things up for the rest of his teammates. That's why I said before this series how Chris Bosh was so important, and he's proven it thus far.
Well, you said he was the X factor.
He's the X factor.
I think he's the Y and the Z factor, too. I agree with everything you just said. And we kid around when we make our predictions. I'm going to be dead serious from here on in this topic. Chris Bosh has become the best clutch shooter on this basketball team. As a Spurs supporter, the man I fear the most late in games is Chris Bosh.
Wow.
And I did not cringe when I saw that his wife had posted a picture yesterday, Big Shot Bosh, because he has earned that nickname. Playing a little bit off, we remember Big Shot Bob is in Robert Horry, all the big shots he made. I'm good with Mrs. Bosh adopting that nickname and saying Big Shot Bosh. And I want to make the case that, do you remember, it was a little before you joined me as my partner on this show, back in Chris Bosh's first season here in Miami, 2011, March, this team hit bottom as the Big Three was trying to figure each other out. They lost 5 in a row, climaxing with a loss on a Monday night here to Portland, in which Chris Bosh had 7 points and 4 rebounds. And I was kidding around on Twitter, maybe I went too far, but I coined the nickname Bosh Spice because he was playing soft. He was playing soft. And I think everybody here would agree he was playing soft to that point. Chris took it a little personally, but he had the guts to request that he come up to Bristol to sit across from me at the debate desk and discuss it. And you know what I told Chris? I said, you can stop me from ever using that nickname again with your performance. I have never, ever, since that day he came to Bristol, used that nickname because this man has played big ever since then. I'm not saying that was a turning point in his career, but he showed me heart, guts, or as Eric said, what was it, championship DNA?
Championship DNA.
To come sit across from me, and we had a very productive, civil discussion about how I viewed him and he viewed me. And he said some nice things about me since then, and I've said a whole lot of nice things on this show about Chris Bosh.
It's hard not to say anything nice about Chris Bosh. I mean, I don't like the fact that he went scoreless in a Game 7 of an NBA Finals, but he did play solid defense. His presence on the court did matter. And more importantly, although I don't consider him, quote-unquote, a superstar, I do consider him a star. I do consider him a big-time quality player, and he's been my X factor. And I believe if Chris Bosh continues to play the way that he has been playing, there is no way that Miami will lose this series. But if he doesn't play the way he's capable of playing and he reverts back to being a troubled scorer, somebody that's a bit apprehensive about what he's supposed to be doing out there on the court offensively, then Miami can have some difficulty. It's just that I think he's at a point in time in his career, he is tired of just being seen as the third wheel. He's starting to remind everybody that in Toronto he was that number one option, that there are some things that he can do offensively on the floor, and he's putting the San Antonio Spurs on notice that he's not somebody to be ignored. And I think that goes a long way because whether he's effective or not, the reality is that he's aggressive. He's looking for his shot in the first 2 games of this series. And that's putting San Antonio on notice. You got to make a decision because LeBron James is clearly going to make the right play. If LeBron James sees Chris Bosh open, he's going to get him the ball. If Dwayne Wade sees him open, he's going to get him the ball. And not only that, keep this in mind too. I am not pleased with what I'm seeing from Mario Chalmers and Norris Cole. They can play, but Mario Chalmers needs to give me more.
He will. That's what she said.
Listen, I like Mario Chalmers, and he's made big shots in his career. but he hasn't shown up yet in this series. Norris Cole can play better. He needs to as well. But if they continue to struggle, I got news for you. Dwayne Wade can play point. And if I'm Eric Spoelstra, you know what I do? I put LeBron James with a big, whether it's a Udonis Haslem or a Birdman, and I'm putting Bosh with Ray Allen on the floor, because in Bosh and Ray Allen, I've got not one but two shooters. And if LeBron James is on hitting threes. And last point, I got news for y'all. Knees and all, no matter how kind of slow Dwayne Wade looks at times, he can get his shot whenever he wants. And it's going in. LeBron James is shooting 59% from the field. Bosh is shooting 59% from the field. Wade is shooting 48% from the field. Ray Allen is shooting 52% from the field. I want those four dudes on the floor together as much as I can get it.
You know,
get after it.
You make me laugh because you keep making a case like this thing's basically over.
No.
You're making a case that the Heat are invincible. Bosh is invincible. He's unstoppable. Ray's unstoppable.
I didn't say
Chalmers,
unstoppable.
yes, you did.
I
Yes,
did.
you did. So to me, I don't know how you can stick with you're being the slickster here, with your Heat in 7 prediction. You should amend it. Amend it to Heat in 5. Come on.
Once again.
Heat in 5. Heat in 5.
Once again. The crowd here, this is my crowd.
Oh.
They're not going
You know
what
what?
you want them to do. They're flowing with me.
You know what?
You can scratch that.
I don't
It's
think
not
so.
gonna happen. You can scratch it.
I don't think so. I think this crowd, it's starting to turn on him.
What's happening, crowd?
They don't like the prediction.
What do you like?
They don't like this.
What's happening? I see.
It don't matter.
You don't
have no shot.
Wait.
This ain't San Antonio, baby. This
South
ain't the
Beach.
Riverwalk.
South
This
Beach.
ain't the Riverwalk.
South Beach, listen. This man is predicting that the Spurs are going to win 2 more games. 2 more games. You should boo him. Boo this man. 2 more games.
Asking them to boom it.
Uh-huh. I'm hearing Stephen A.
Unbelievable.
You'll get him.
I don't think they're
By the
listening.
end of the week, maybe.
South
You'll
Beach,
get,
baby.
it'll be half and half.
You've got no shot.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're live at the Clevelander Hotel on South Beach. The mayor has brought out his constituents. They are here
You see the crowd?
to hear from you.
See this crowd?
I do.
It's special.
It's a special crowd, is it not?
It's not as good as San Antonio's crowd, but it's...
Oh. Shocking you'd say that, sir. Shocking. Stephen A. Smith for mayor. Skip Bayless for mayor in San Antonio. Tim Legler just
a
plain
man
old
of the
citizen.
people.
Just a man of the
just
people.
exactly. Both cities.
Our legs took a break from SportsCenter to join us, and as you saw before we went to break, you picked the Spurs.
Correct.
Let's break down Game 3 tonight and tell us more about your pick.
Well, initially it was Spurs in 7, and it's staying Spurs in 7. And the reason I went with that were a couple. First of all, I think that they were deeper. I thought they had more guys that were going to impact the series and have moments and signature moments. And I also thought Manu Ginobili is a completely different player this year in terms of health and his ability to impact the game than he was a year ago. And I thought that would ultimately be the thing that would tip it in their favor. I will say Miami made some big-time basketball X's and O's adjustments in the second game. And if that continues, and if Greg Popovich now can't figure out a way to trump what Eric Spoelstra did and how they defend pick and roll, then Miami's going to be in great shape in this series. If Popovich can't figure out now what to do, if they can't get Duncan and Splitter the ball on those dives to the rim on pick and roll, which is what dominated Game 1, he took that away in Game 2. They decided to make Parker Ginobili be more scorers coming off those screens, stay with the roll guy, don't give him space in the lane, and the numbers are actually pretty stark when you look at them and the production in the paint off of that.
So who wins tonight? I'm sorry to hear.
Miami's going to win Game 3, no question about it. Miami's going to win Game 3. When a series changed venue like this and they just got a win like that, I think the emotion in the building and the energy they're going to have defensively is going to be a little bit too much for San Antonio tonight.
Well, I mean,
Go ahead, Mayor.
Well, I appreciate.
It's your show.
I'm glad you know it. I appreciate Tim Legler being as prophetic as he's being.
Whoa.
And I understand it's a little rain out there. Just a little rain, y'all. Just a little rain. It's going to be all right.
Thank you, guys.
We'll stop.
We
We'll shout.
appreciate
Hey,
it.
Stephen A., you realize it never rained in San Antonio.
You know what? It needed to.
It didn't rain in San Antonio.
I didn't know we were in the
It didn't
desert.
rain on my parade.
I didn't know we were in the desert. It ain't raining on this
It's just
parade.
cooling them off a
It's
little
just
bit.
cooling them off a little
That's
bit.
all.
Here's the deal. When you look at it, Tim absolutely right in terms of breaking it down. But in the end, like I just finished telling them during the break, the reason why I have it in 7, I think the Spurs are a deeper team. I think the Spurs collectively may be better. But in the end, they don't have the best player in the world. And I think it's relatively evenly matched. And then it comes down to 48 minutes of a basketball game, and you have the best player in the world on the verge of three-peating, knowing that his legacy, at least in some people's eyes who will remain nameless, will be tarnished in the event that he loses another NBA Finals. I don't think LeBron is going to let that happen. And I think that what we saw in the third quarter of Game 2 is indicative of the kind of things that are capable of taking place at particular pivotal moments in these NBA Finals. Somehow, some way, there will be moments where you will see a clear distinction between the best player in the world and everybody else.
Now, if he continues what he did in the third quarter tonight and then in Game 4 and Game 5, there's no way the Spurs are going to win. But, Tim Legler, I value your insight on this.
All right.
I'm about to make, as a Spurs supporter, something of a blasphemous statement. You mentioned Manu Ginobili. He was the reason I picked the Spurs to win in 6 because he's playing, 5 years younger than he did a year ago right now. You saw the end of Game 6 in Oklahoma City. Obviously, the whole second half, Tony Parker could not play. I loved watching the second half of that game with Manu, even Corey Joseph running the point because it was attack mode, attack. Tony Parker's not completely healthy right now. He doesn't have that little quicksilver burst that he used to have. So to me, if this game, let's say tonight, please God, stays close until the last 5 minutes, if I were Greg Popovich, I would go with Manu at the point, and I would not let Tony play. I would keep him on the bench because when Tony runs the point, Manu defers to him. We saw it the other night. How many shots did they wind up at the end of the clock with Manu trying to be the bailout guy? You can't play like that. You can't beat this defense like that.
I actually tend to agree with you on that point, how to close out games in this series, because Tony Parker is not. He's not the same. He's not. No. He just doesn't look right. He's not turning the corner.
No.
Defensively, he can't beat that one defender, that big that shows out. He can't get around him. It's obviously probably due to health. Manu Ginobili, to me, is the difference maker between the two teams as well, and that's what I said going into the series. And I think there are times when he's on the floor that he's quiet. If Manu Ginobili's on the floor right now, the ball needs to be in his hands and let him run the offense and let him be the guy that's making plays. I actually thought San Antonio got away in the second half of Game 2 from everything that was working for them for the previous 6 quarters.
I agree.
And look, Greg Popovich is going to allude to that when they watch the film, and there will be adjustments. You're going to see them, I think, focus and bear down a little bit more if they get into another situation in the second half of Game 3 that this game is tight. You're going to see them execute differently because they got away from what was working in the first 6 quarters of the series.
I'm going to tell y'all something. I disagree with y'all, and not just on my pick. I disagree with y'all about Manu Ginobili. I want Manu Ginobili on the floor. If I'm a Heat fan, I'm going to tell you why. Manu Ginobili, remember, Game 6 last year, 8 turnovers. You got to remember and keep something in mind. Even though he's not the same player and he clearly has lost weight, got himself better conditioning, he's healthy, he's playing lights out. I know that. But he's such a competitor. The one thing that y'all are missing is that the more the ball is in his hands, the more antsy he's going to get. I'm not talking nervousness. I'm talking aggression. He's going to want to do more. He's got the ball in his hands. He's going to run a team. But that's when he makes mistakes. When he plays within himself and he plays his role, he does it better than almost anybody. But when you put the additional responsibilities on his shoulders, he's like, okay, he does great things, but he also does bad things. So if I'm the Miami Heat, I'm going to live with that. Yes, he will move the basketball, but sometimes he'll look to score. Now, he will score, but he'll make mistakes along the way as well. You're sitting there talking about Tony Parker. Dribble. That is true. That is true. But the flip side to it is that while he's dribbling, he's not always turning the ball over.
Right.
The ball might not be moving as well as you may like, but he's not always turning the ball over. And Manu Ginobili say he's the ultimate risk taker. He's the guy. He's the bungee jumper.
Well,
what I call
this is absurd.
Why is it absurd?
This is absurd.
Yeah, I agree.
You're afraid of Manu Ginobili.
Not at all.
Yes, you are.
Not at all.
You don't want to see him in there.
I do.
You want to see Tony Parker dribble.
Don't tell me what I want to see.
Dribble.
I want Manu Ginobili in the game more.
Please.
I didn't
I
stutter.
hope he is
I
tonight.
didn't stutter.
Yes,
I know what I
you did.
said.
You're slicking it up on
the
that.
comment you just made is true. When
Tell him
last year it was true when he wasn't right because he can see it, his heart wants it, but his body couldn't make it happen.
Right.
That's not this year's Manu Ginobili.
I understand that's not this year's
I
Manu
think
Ginobili.
he's the guy that I trust more right now if I'm Greg Popovich to decide the game.
Stephen A. Smith, what did you say 3 weeks ago? You saw a game and you said, you know what? I'm starting to lean toward picking the Heat in the finals because you told me on TV, I think LeBron James can take Tony Parker out of the game. What happened down the stretch in game 2?
Right.
He just took him out of the game.
Right. But wait a minute.
Okay, you know what? He can't take Manu
Yes, he
completely
can.
out of the game. He cannot.
That's the one thing I want to add. I said Tony Parker because that's who's playing. But I firmly believe LeBron can do the same thing to Manu Ginobili. Without question. Without question.
Well, let's see it tonight. And by the way, Manu, are you listening to this man? Did he tell you about it the other day?
I respect the hell out of Manu Ginobili.
Are you listening?
He's a hell of a player, and especially this year. But I do believe that going up against the best player in the world, I'm still at a loss as to why somebody doesn't make Manu Ginobili go right. I don't understand it.
Okay.
Some guys are so good they get there anyway.
They get there anyway, but not against the best. And if you put LeBron James on them, let's see him do that against LeBron. I don't think that would happen.
All right, there's other
I don't think it would
basketball news outside of the NBA Finals. Let's talk about the Knicks and Derek Fisher. Derek Fisher, according to Yahoo Sports, received a 5-year, $25 million deal. A press conference within the next hour or so is expected to get the particulars, introduce Derek Fisher. And Legs, we want your expertise on this. A good fit?
I think so. Look, I've said it probably 3 or 4 years ago about Derek Fisher. Very rarely do I see a player, if I've played against a player, competed with, or known a player that I thought was more tailor-made to be an NBA head coach. Derek Fisher has a toughness. He has the communication skills. He has the respect of the guys in that locker room because of the number of championship teams that he played on. He has dealt with every type of personality imaginable, including Kobe Bryant, one of the few guys that Kobe actually befriended as a Laker teammate.
Sure.
So I knew it was a matter of time. You know, people are looking at the deal saying 5 years, $25 million for a guy that never coached before. It's the New York Knicks. You have to give a guy that coaches the New York Knicks that type of contract. And I actually believe that Derek Fisher is going to be a great head coach. Not a good head coach, a great head coach.
Wow. Why?
And I'll be very surprised if we're sitting here 2 or 3 years from now and I was wrong on that. It might not necessarily be with this Knick group.
Okay, that's fair.
But I'm saying at some point we are going to acknowledge that Derek Fisher is a great NBA head coach.
I'm going to say this. I don't want to sound controversial, but it is First Take, and it needs to be said right here. Since Steve Kerr got 20 to 25 million, since Stan Van Gundy, who was an exceptional head coach as far as I'm concerned, got $7 million a year over 5 years to coach and be president of basketball operations for the Detroit Pistons. I am happy to see that a black dude actually got some of those numbers as well. Derek Fisher being the head coach of the New York Knicks, it needed to happen. I knew weeks ago, as I reported weeks ago, once Steve Kerr took the Golden State job, it was a foregone conclusion that Derek Fisher was going to be the coach of the New York Knicks. I spoke to him in Oklahoma City. He was interested in being the coach of the New York Knicks. He's interested in working for his former coach, Phil Jackson. He will allow Phil Jackson to assemble the coaching staff and everything else. He has no problem learning under Phil Jackson, and Phil Jackson is going to be running training camp as the coach, really schooling and tutoring Derek Fisher. So this is not news. The news to me is the money Derek Fisher got, because what they did was look at the landscape. You have to remember that Mark Jackson, who was coaching the Golden State Warriors and did an exceptional job doing so, his average salary was $2 million.
Okay.
Kerr got double that.
Yeah.
Stan Van Gundy damn near got quadruple that. So I needed to see somebody like Derek Fisher get this amount of money. The only other thing that I would like to add is all the old school coaches out there, their days are numbered. Because you're seeing young coaches get hired, people moving in a different direction, bringing on guys who have limited experience, relatively younger. It's a new day, a new age in the world of the NBA. And my condolences to those old school NBA coaches, because a lot of them are going to find themselves without head coaching jobs because clearly the game is moving in a different direction.
I applaud everything you just said. I appreciate it. I also agree with what Tim Legler said. I'll just go this far. Derek Fisher will prove to be a much better head coach in the NBA than Steve Kerr will. Now, I know Steve a little bit. I know Derek vaguely. But I've watched them closely their whole careers. I'm not sure Steve Kerr has that edge that you need to command an NBA locker room. He is the nicest man in the world. But I don't know if that translates into being a great NBA coach. Maybe a college coach, I don't know. Now, neither of them have coached a single dribble in their lives. So we're all guessing here. But with Derek Fisher, I am so with you. When I watch him even speak on camera, I believe every word he says. When he's on the floor, he takes and made big shots. Even in this last series against the Spurs, he was driving me crazy. This man has guts. He has courage. He has big backbone, and he has big credentials because he's been there and done that. What's he have, 5 championship rings?
He has 5 rings.
5.
Yep.
Wow.
And,
okay.
what NBA players respect, and this is what he's going to get, he's direct, he's honest, he communicates in a way that he gets his point across without being condescending or sarcastic. Players are going to respect that. I will say this, the very first thing he needs to do, they have Carmelo Anthony and he's coaching him. Here's what needs to happen first. He needs to sit down with Carmelo Anthony and have a conversation and say, Carmelo, if you're going to average 26, 27, 28 points a game and play 38 to 40 minutes a night, we're never going to win. Because that tells me that you are not giving me everything you have defensively.
We disagree there.
Let me finish. For me, for Carmelo Anthony to finally be a guy that everybody looks at as a guy that can lead a team deep into the playoffs or to the finals or win a championship, he needs to play probably at this stage of his career about 32 minutes a game and average about 22 or 23 points and understand his responsibility as a star player in this league to facilitate the game for other people because that's what star players do, and they make the game easier for their role players and they set the tone defensively. And if you're doing that on every possession, you're not playing 38 minutes a game and averaging 28 the way he has in the past. He needs to sacrifice something for that team to win.
I'm going to disagree with you. Here's why. Derek Fisher is in no position to say that to Carmelo Anthony when you watch that happen with Kobe for years. That's number one. Number two, the first order of business that Derek Fisher needs to concern himself with concerning Carmelo Anthony is not how you're going to play, but whether or not you're going to stay. Because it's not a relevant conversation if Carmelo Anthony says, I'm leaving. What you don't need to do, if you're the New York Knicks, is sit there and offend Carmelo Anthony in any way that would lead towards him saying, I'm out. Because no matter what I believe, and I believe in Derek Fisher, and I am happy that he is the coach of the New York Knicks, and I believe in Phil Jackson. But here's the bottom line. Players win basketball games, and you need Melo to recruit other players for you. Derek Fisher's not going to do that.
Stephen A. Smith, you know Carmelo. Plus or a minus that Derek Fisher was hired as head coach with him staying or going?
I say it's a minus in this respect. Not because of Derek Fisher, but because Melo is saying, Phil Jackson, you coached Michael and Scottie to a championship. You coached Shaq and Kobe to a championship. You came out of retirement, coached Kobe, Gasol, and Bynum to a title. And, oh, by the way, just a year and a half ago was willing to come out of retirement for your fiancé in the Lakers organization to coach. What the hell is wrong with me? How come you can't coach me? It's not about Derek Fisher. It's about the fact that an 11-time champion who clearly wants to coach come training camp isn't willing to come and coach Carmelo Anthony. That's what's going to be counted against the Knicks. Not Derek Fisher, but Phil Jackson's unwillingness to coach Carmelo.
But I do think this indicates Phil will coach more than you think.
Yeah, he will.
Yeah, he will. For sure.
It would have been the same way with Steve Kerr as well. Either one of those guys.
Which is why Melo had a problem with it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, Tim Legler, give it up for him, please. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
They're booing.
Heat fans, they're still mad about the pick.
This is a tough crowd.
They're still mad.
This is a tough crowd. Ladies and gentlemen, we're at the Clevelander on South Beach. There's two chants here. You know, I have to give it up to this Miami crowd because it was raining really hard for about 5-10 minutes, and they decided to hang out with us anyway. Our next guest, you guys may know him. He's a friend of the show. You know this guy.
I can't hear a word you're saying because these people are trying to sing here.
And they're
attempting to sing and they can't.
Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Flo Rida.
Flo.
Flo is a friend of the show. You were here last year, and I know, listen, I have to give you a disclaimer. No arguing at Pop this year, okay? While you sitting courtside. No arguing with Popovich.
It's all good.
All right, so
I got to ask Flo.
Yeah, go.
If I wanted to purchase that diamond-studded chain around your neck, what would it set me back?
A salary.
100 grand.
Yeah.
100 grand?
Yeah.
Well, he could afford
shut
that.
up.
Yeah, he's
agree.
the mayor.
Yeah.
He's the mayor. Okay, look, let's
Mayor
get to
Smith.
it.
There we go. Is
We're
there a
not
problem? Is there a
surprised.
problem?
It's all good.
We're not surprised you picked Miami, obviously, but it's been 2 games, right? Game 3 tonight. Are you really confident in your choice and Miami getting it done?
I'm very confident. We got the greatest player in the world. You know what I'm saying? King James, great team. Hey, victorious Miami Heat.
Miami in 7? Miami in 6?
I say we take it in 6. Yeah.
Wait,
Definitely.
Okay.
you're going to give the San Antonio Spurs another win?
I mean, you know.
That's unbelievable.
I mean,
I thought you had faith in your team.
It's great camaraderie going on right now, you know. But definitely, I have to say, after we won the Spurs, it's over for.
It's over?
It's over.
Game 2,
man.
it's
we
over.
definitely
Okay.
going to take this.
I don't even know why they're going to play tonight.
You know what? You're right. Let's go home.
You know?
We should be
Yeah,
done.
we should go
No,
home.
but you know what? Sometimes you make me sick.
Yeah? How many times?
Every day. All day.
Anybody picked the San Antonio Spurs to win a game, you throw in a conniption. But you picked the Heat to win 2 games.
Yeah.
All right,
Because
so
I
what's your
respect the
problem?
Heat.
So we respect
Flo
the
has
Spurs.
no respect for the
Yes, he
Spurs.
does.
He said it's over already.
Definitely.
Oh.
Definitely.
We just telling you what
Greatest
the
player in the world.
Help me out.
I told y'all last year we was going to run away with the victory.
What happened at the end of Game 6 last year right down the street here at this arena?
Yeah.
What happened? What happened?
We don't know.
You did look
What
a little bit
happened?
nervous that night.
Yeah.
You did.
Not nervous at all.
You were not nervous.
had
I
already-
think you were one of those fans that left early last year.
No, not at all.
No.
We celebrate every time after Hyde. We go to Hyde, you know, and celebrate and everything like that. Definitely looking forward to purchasing me another ring.
Okay, be honest with us. When the Spurs went up, what were they up? 5 with 28 seconds left. In your heart of hearts, did you think it was over for your Heat?
Not at all.
Not at all?
Not at all.
Well, then this man has great faith.
Yeah.
He has blind faith.
Yeah, more than most fans.
Right?
Stephen A., talk to your friend here.
Well, listen. The Miami Heat is going to have a tough series. This is not going to be easy. The end result will be the same. But it's not going to be easy. We understand that because San Antonio knows how to play with each other. They know how to play together. Plus, they're hungry because of what happened to them last year. So the Miami Heat, it's not just about LeBron. It's about other guys having to step up. I don't know if they're going to be able to do it for every game. But I do think they'll be able to do it for 4. And that's all they need. You need 4 wins to win a championship, and that's what's going to happen.
I mean, we got young energy. We got Bosh doing his thing. And like you said, I think tonight, you know, I think Chalmers is definitely going to have a great game.
He needs to show up.
Have a great
Yeah.
game.
I like Chalmers.
Show up.
I said that first.
I like
time for
Chalmers.
him.
I like Chalmers, and I don't like being critical of him because he's hit too many big shots in his career. Got a lot of love for him in his game,
Yep.
but he has not shown up for a lot of games throughout these playoffs. He's got to show up.
But you know,
I need him.
I mean, we definitely, you know, we've been waiting to come home and play. So tonight, I'm pretty sure King James is probably going to make, you know, history again tonight. So I look forward to it, going to the game. Definitely going to enjoy myself. I mean, we got good luck on our side. It rained.
Got to remember.
That's a sign of rain and victory
Okay.
all day.
But let me say this. Let me say this. Very
When it
important.
rains,
Wait. You got to explain that one
When
to
it
me.
rains, it's
If it
raining
rains, the Heat
victory.
win?
Yeah.
Most definitely.
Why
Yeah.
is that?
I mean, you know, it's all about, you know.
Okay. Break out into song.
All day.
I don't get it.
Look at you. For real,
Yeah.
Stephen A.? Really? Really?
The combination of Norris Cole and Mario Chalmers averaged 15.5 points and hit 2 3-pointers a game last year during the finals. This year, Mario Chalmers is averaging 2.5 points in the first 2 games. That's simply not going to cut it. I need more from him. I need more from him. He's too gifted, particularly in big games, to be coming up this small. He's got to show up in this series. But again, with Chris Bosh doing what he's doing and with Ray Allen playing the way that he's playing, they got them covered. It's just that he could seal the deal. Because if Mario Chalmers gets going, it's a wrap.
Yeah, it's definitely
It's a wrap.
So I'm going to put your feet to the fire here. The Miami Heat have how many of the best players on the floor tonight? How many?
The best players?
Yes. Yes, I want to know.
I say one.
Only one?
Yeah.
Oh, so you're saying who's better than D. Wade right now?
No. I think that. Listen, D. Wade, you can put him up there, but I think Tim Duncan has something to say because he beat you in a multitude of ways. We can't ignore the contribution that the 4-time champion and future Hall of Famer, the greatest power
So
forward
you
that
would
ever
still
played the
take
game.
Tim Duncan over Dwayne Wade?
Well, I'm saying to you, if you're talking to me on that level, it depends on what you need.
You still want to
Dwayne
be
Wade's
mayor,
a
right?
guard. That's right.
D. D-Wade.
Well, listen,
Gotta go
we
with
can go with,
D-Wade.
listen, I said D-Wade
Okay.
in terms of 4 games. But you're talking about one particular game or whatever the case. We're just saying a game 7. But Tim Duncan, listen, there's no disrespect or snub at D-Wade to sit there and say, on a given night, I might take Tim Duncan. Tim Duncan's the greatest power forward that ever lived. You understand? And you got to also understand this. Sometimes, again, in the end, you ain't taking anybody ahead of LeBron. He's the best player in the world.
No way.
And that's
There's
all
no
that
doubt.
matters.
Okay,
That's all that matters.
who are you taking over Bosch? You taking
Your X
Parker
factor.
Ginobili?
Your X
No.
factor.
Seriously.
No.
You know
Not at
what?
all.
I think you would say the best 3 players on the floor tonight belong to your team.
Most definitely.
Am I right?
Most definitely.
So it should be Heat in 5.
You want him
correct?
to go with Heat in 5.
Heat in 5.
So it's Heat in 5
done.
now.
Heat
Hey,
in 5. I talked
I'm
him
with
into
that.
it.
He's
Heat
with
in
Heat in
5.
Heat in 5.
Right?
Yeah, listen. So
Trying to
yeah,
work you into
and he
frenzy
did.
So he can discount
And he
you
did.
with
So
the
he could be
second
like,
that you're
all
wrong.
these people said
Don't let
Heat
him
in
fool
5.
you.
Heat in
I
5.
just got him to show his heart on television because his heart says Heat in 5.
All right.
Am I right?
Before we let you out of here, let's talk about your youth football league. Tell us a little bit about it.
I mean, shout out to Snoop Dogg, definitely who allowed us to go out to L.A. and take over 100 kids out there. Definitely, I'm always, thriving and supporting the youth, It's all about, motivating them to do positive things. So I have to FYFL. This is like our 3rd year. Definitely we've been very successful, the #1 league here in South Florida, and they definitely tuned in. So shout out to all the kids who tuned in. So Snoop supposed to come down here because they won 2 out of the 3, but definitely we're going to take it home this year.
I got to admit to you, while we on national TV, because Snoop is my man, I got a problem with Snoop, and I'm going to say it right to you.
What's up?
First of all, I appreciate all that he does for a lot of those kids, particularly with his youth football program. He does an incredible job with them, and he's to be commended for that. But Snoop knows basketball. But somehow, some way, when the Lakers lose, I can't find him. I
He's
can't
silent.
find Snoop.
He's silent.
I'm looking for.
I understand that.
I can't find Snoop.
I understand
don't
that.
understand it. The man got him and Ice Cube. They got a whole bunch of stuff to say, except for when the Lakers are struggling, and then all of a sudden there's APB out for them.
Yep.
You can't find them anywhere.
That's
He out
very
doing
true.
something with the kids.
He's
Nah.
working with the kids when the Lakers are struggling.
They hide him because the Lakers are struggling.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Snoop
Flow Rider,
and
give it
Cube.
up.
Hold on just a second.
Snoop
Maybe
and Cube.
Snoop just doesn't want to return his call.
He don't like
No.
him. Flow Riders, ladies and gentlemen.
Snoop
give it
loves
up.
me, bro.
This song. Ladies and gentlemen, the Clevelander, we're back. It's the time you've been waiting for. We call it the Skip and Stephen A quiz. I love this crowd, right? Absolutely. I obviously have a Miami Heat fan next to me. It's Ronnie from Miami. You have a question for Stephen A.
Yes, Mayor Stephen A. Smith.
Yes.
What are the chances of LeBron staying in Miami or going back to Cleveland?
In all seriousness, it's a 70% chance. The 70% comes from the fact that he's won championships here. He loves it here. The people here are great to him. Not only that, but the key person here is Pat Riley. Because Pat Riley, before it was Dwayne Wade. Now it's not that simple. Because Dwayne Wade has only played, he's missed a third of the season with injuries or what have you, even though that's his man. He loves Dwayne Wade, et cetera, et cetera. But the key thing that Miami has going for it is that Pat Riley has kept every single word he's made to LeBron James. And when you have a first-class organization led by a first-class executive who is a champion as an executive, as a coach, who has kept his word to you, that goes a long way. But the Miami Heat are still going to be obligated to show LeBron what kind of roster can you put together for the immediate and distant future that should convince him to commit here long term. If they pull that off, it is a wrap. He is staying. If there's some questions as to whether or not they can pull that off, then he may entertain either leaving or opting in for an additional year and then being a member of the 2015 free agent class.
Yeah. I found it very intriguing that Cleveland made a run recently at Coach Calipari, and it seemed like it was tied to making a run at LeBron.
It
Wouldn't
wasn't.
you agree?
It
You
wasn't.
don't think so?
It wasn't, because Calipari, regardless of LeBron James and how cool he is with Calipari and what have you, Calipari doesn't have those kind of ties to LeBron where you're going to be able to convince LeBron to ignore the challenge of putting together a nice roster, et cetera, et cetera. No, that wasn't the factor.
I'm going to hinge my answer on what the great Tim Grover told us on the show in San Antonio. He thinks Dwayne Wade can play at this level for 4 more years. I'm thinking LeBron's going to stay around for 3 or 4 more years.
Okay. That's fair. All right, that was for Ronnie.
If I were him, I would.
We might need a security guard. We have a secret or a closet Knicks fan here. Sean from Miami. However, Sean now, he was born in New York, so he has a legitimate question for one Stephen A. Smith. Sean, what's your question?
All right, so will the hiring of Derek Fisher keep Carmelo in New York?
No. It clearly was not. Derek Fisher's hire was clearly not a scheme to keep Carmelo Anthony in New York, because the ultimate scheme would be Phil trying to coach the team. If you really were committed to keeping Carmelo Anthony in New York, he'd be coaching. I'm not saying Phil doesn't want to keep Carmelo, but Phil's priority is to run this basketball operation the way he wants to. And his attitude is the player is going to capitulate to what I want. It's not going to be the other way around.
I hear you say, if I'm getting your drift, that Melo's gone still.
I think it's a possibility that Melo is better than a 50% possibility that Melo will leave.
And I'm going to say it again. I have no idea what he's going to do. I think he should stay in New York. And again, are they slightly rebuilding next year? I think they'll be better than most people think they will if Carmelo stays next year, just because of the Phil influence. I think Derek Fisher is going to be an excellent NBA head coach.
Right.
So why not? It's still the Mecca. It's still MSG.
Whether it's in New York or Miami, my ideal scenario is for Carmelo Anthony to pair with LeBron James.
All right, Mayor, I got one of your constituents
here. Are you predicting that?
Mayor,
I'm not predicting it yet, but if they both elect to opt in and be members of the same class of 2015, I do believe if LeBron and Carmelo both end up in the same free agent class in 2015, Carmelo and LeBron will join forces.
I have an anxious
New York.
constituent here. You're excited. Show it.
Stephen A. You the mayor, man. I voted.
Thank you so much.
I voted online.
Thank you very much.
Right.
Smart vote.
He wants you to know how much he loves you.
Listen. My name is Stephen A. Smith, and I approve that message.
Hey!
I approve.
By the time we finally get to it, James from Jacksonville, Florida, you have a question for your mayor. The mayor?
I have a question for the mayor.
He has a question for the mayor. Go ahead.
Mr. Mayor, due to D. Wade's diminished productivity over the last year, do you see him taking a pay cut to stay in Miami and help bring in new players?
Yes, I do. And here's why. Even though he can opt in and get his $20+ million for 1 more year, he doesn't necessarily owe the Heat more than the Heat owe him, because he is the one responsible for the Big Three being assembled, and Miami never won a championship until D. Wade arrived. D. Wade is the guy that's responsible. But this is a business. The collective bargaining agreement is what it is. You know what the punitive damage from a luxury tax standpoint is. And in the end, D. Wade will always and forever be a Miami Heat. So whatever money he gives up now, he'll more than make on the return in the years to follow, because he will always be taken care of by Mickey Arison and the Miami Heat organization.
Do I hear Stephen A. Smith disrespecting Dwayne Wade on this show today?
Never.
You said you would take Tim Duncan right now over Dwayne Wade, and you're saying that Dwayne Wade should take a pay cut because his value has diminished below even Pat Riley's value.
I'm saying to you that Dwayne Wade missed 28 games. Those knees, it's a tough struggle to go through that 82-game stretch. I understand that he deserves his money. But the flip side is, Skip, it's the equivalent of, do I want $50 million up front or $50 to $100 million spread throughout the rest of my life because I'm attached to this organization? It's a smart business decision when it comes to family, which is what D. Wade is to the Miami Heat, family.
So does that mean that you think the Los Angeles Lakers just made a huge mistake giving Kobe Bryant, who has a lot more mileage on his body than Dwayne does, giving him all that money?
No, I never felt that way. Miami is a better organization right now than the Los Angeles Lakers. They're competing for championships. They will continue to compete for championships. In the case of the Los Angeles Lakers, all they have is Kobe. He's box office. And since he's got to carry that load by himself, and you haven't gotten him the help that he deserves, and he's got to do it himself, he deserves every penny.
You know what? Honestly, I think somebody on this show needs to defend Dwayne Wade today. I seriously believe you're discounting his intangible value to this basketball team.
I would never do that to Dwayne Wade.
Well,
never.
I think you are.
I'm not.
You're saying one thing and then you do another.
I'm not doing that. I'm saying to you that the man is getting over $100 million. And the Miami Heat are going to continue to take care of him long after his playing career is over. So if you have to sit there and modify your salary for 1 year to ensure that over the next several years, y'all are in a position to continue to compete for championships, what's the problem with that?
Well,
there's no problem with that.
They all took less money to come to start with, right?
So
okay.
That's the point here.
Ladies and gentlemen, we've got a gentleman here who drove for 21 hours to be on the show and to watch Game 4. We got a die-hard sports friend. Shane from Fort Smith, Arkansas. You have a question for Mr. Bayless?
Skip, I got a question for you. The Spurs are a well-oiled machine, and my question is, ultimately, if you can cut the head of the snake, cut Tony Parker out, do the Spurs have any chance in this series if Tony Parker's game is cut out?
It's funny you asked me that. I think they have a better chance if you cut the head off the snake. Again, the well-oiled machine was leaking a whole lot of oil down the stretch the other night with Tony running the point. So I'm being brutally honest today when I tell you I don't want Tony on the floor in the last 4 minutes of a close game right now at this stage of his career. Remember, he played all summer. France won the European League Championship, the Eurobasket Championship. I think he's leaking oil. I think Ginobili gives them a better chance to close right now. Not that you don't need Tony Parker, but you don't need him down the stretch. So I say leave the head of the snake on the bench down the stretch.
All I'm going to say to you is this. Skip's proclamation that Tony Parker should be benched in waning moments in favor of Manu Ginobili is as a 9, as a 10, as a 11, as a 12. Okay? It doesn't make any sense. As far as I'm concerned, the San Antonio Spurs will need both Manu Ginobili and Tony Parker to have a shot at beating
on the
Miami.
floor at the same time in a close game. Is that what you're saying?
You'll need both.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's Carrie's Court.
The next big thing, the next new kid, the next overnight sensation, the next rookie, one to watch, the next Hall of Famer, the next intimidator, the next six-time, the next king. Next. Who's next? Let's find out. Names are made here. The NASCAR Nationwide Series at Michigan, Saturday at 1:30 Eastern on ESPN.
We're at the Clevelander. It is muggy out here. I want to say maybe 80 degrees, but the humidity feels like it's 100. I'm okay with that, though, because we're in the city of the heat, so it makes sense. Donald Sterling has changed his mind once again. No surprise there. We knew that this would not be an easy fight. It seemed too easy for most. The latest statement issued by Donald Sterling, the action taken by Adam Silver and the NBA constitutes a violation of my rights and fly in the face of freedoms that are afforded to all Americans. I have decided that I must fight to protect my rights. This is the latest. He says he will not support the sale of the Clippers for $2 billion because the NBA says that they will continue to ban him, issue that lifetime ban. Stephen A. Smith, what is your reaction to the latest with Donald Sterling?
In all seriousness, no joking at all. Obviously, this is a very sensitive subject. I think the man is pathetic. No. Ain't no time for that, y'all. Everybody chill out. Ain't no time for that right now. The fact of the matter is simple. If you listen to the audio tape, this man sounded like a plantation owner. Mm-hmm. That's a fact. Since we know this, the NBA has every right to say, we don't want you as a part of our fraternity. When you consider the fact that his wife has now approved the sale and that it is on the record that essentially he would be suing himself, and then he has gone back and forth in terms of suing the NBA and not suing the NBA and then suing the NBA again, and not suing the NBA, and then suing the NBA again, he is clearly trying to make a case that he is demented. He is not in his right frame of mind.
Sure.
And that should somehow play a role in all of this.
Sure.
But in the end, what I want to remind everybody about is simply this. There's a lot of people out there, including the Mark Cubans of the world, that are talking about due process as if this somehow pertains to the court of law. Donald Sterling bought the Los Angeles Clippers for $12.5 million. He is in a position to get $2 billion, to walk away with nearly $2 billion in profit. He has not been handcuffed and incarcerated and thrown into jail and stripped of his civil liberties and his freedom. Donald Sterling has simply been told that the NBA brand, tremendously supported by various communities, not just nationwide but globally, and clearly minority communities throughout this nation and beyond, want no part of you. Take your money and go. If Donald Sterling believes that he has a right to fight that, then what we should all do, every woman should protest membership into Augusta and any kind of prejudice that exists anywhere where private clubs don't want anybody as a part of their clubs. That should be protested across this world, across this nation, because it makes no sense. The NBA is a private industry.
Yes.
It doesn't want you as a member of its fraternity. It's saying take your money, your $2 billion in profit, and go. And if you don't have the right to do that, I don't know what you have the right to do. So he's making no sense whatsoever, and we all just need to stand up and say, look, we don't want you. Goodbye. Because that's as simple as that to me.
Well said. Now, I want to point out one last time.
Sure.
Donald Sterling exposed his racism for years and years and years with his racist business practices. So this is nothing new and no surprise that he is racist. Now, the only good news about this is, guess what? We might just get to have that vote that we've been talking about, right? That went by the boards after a while. We just said, well, it looks like they don't need to vote. I want those other owners to be forced to vote, and maybe publicly. I'm not sure they could force it to be publicly, but you've said this from the start. I want to know what Mark Cuban really thinks about the due process of the NBA bylaws. I want to know what several other owners who seem to be on the fence about the way this whole thing went down, which way would they vote, yes or no, for Donald Sterling? Are we going to get back to that?
Yeah.
I think we might. Because, remember, I said this from the start, and I didn't back off. Donald Sterling will not go away quietly. Did I not say that the first day?
You already knew it.
And then, did you see in his statement? He said, I made these statements in anger and out of jealousy in the context of a private conversation. That's his only leg legally to stand on, and you can sue over that. And remember, I don't love your Augusta analogy. This is a business alliance of teams that are worth, obviously, billions of dollars. So in this case, he may deserve his due process here. So let's see how this happens, because wouldn't you be intrigued to see a vote if it came to a vote?
Well, I would be intrigued to see a vote, and I get where you're coming from, but in the end, if the commissioner has banned you for life, and the league owners say they don't want you, and the public clearly doesn't want you, then you don't have the right to own your team anymore, okay? That's number one. Number two, I'm going to do something that's incredibly unpopular.
Okay.
And I'm going to put this to bed once and for all, and I'm going to try to educate a lot of people about this, that get on the NBA about Donald Sterling's past. If Donald Sterling was trying to become an owner in the NBA, and these things, the racial discrimination lawsuit, the Department of Justice coming after him, being considered a slumlord, was all a matter of record while pursuing ownership of an NBA team, then you could get on former Commissioner David Stern and anybody associated with the league. But once you are in,
I see.
The question is, whatever's going on, is it enough to confiscate ownership from somebody? even if the Department of Justice had found Donald Sterling guilty, or the courts rather, in the case of the Department of Justice going against Donald Sterling, had found him guilty of racial discrimination, if you had fined him, if he paid the fine, that is not then justification for you to say, we're going to strip you of ownership. Okay, so my point is, now everybody's looking at them and saying, well, this stuff was well documented.
Yeah.
Why didn't they go after him? Well, they didn't go after him because the question is, can I strip you of ownership? And if I can't strip you of ownership, then you're one of us. And if you're one of us, why add to the negative attention brought towards you that would compromise and taint and sully our
you're
brand?
saying the only thing that changed was a private, illegally recorded conversation.
Right. But what I'm saying to you is that the fact that Adam Silver said it in his press conference instituting the lifetime ban, the fact that it was made public, it's now public. There's no way to get around that. And because you can't get around that, we're not worried about being punished by the court of law. But we are always worried by being punished by the court of public opinion, because the court of public opinion affects perspective, which affects our bottom line.
Okay,
That's business.
I'm obviously not defending Donald Sterling here, but I'm trying to be fair. Could he not argue in a court of law that he said those things out of jealousy of Magic Johnson because he's crazy in love with this woman?
Yes, he could.
And that he really didn't mean them. Can he say that?
Yes, he can say it. He can mean it. He can be sincere. But as everybody from Snoop Dogg to a whole bunch of people in the public eye to various people within the minority communities to Mark Cuban himself calling him out and saying what he said was racist, et cetera, he's persona non grata with the rest of us.
Yeah.
And you're not going to have players like LeBron James and Chris Paul and others support the NBA supporting him staying on. He has to go because nobody wants him.
South Beach, first take on the road for the NBA Finals. I'm really excited about our next guest, as I have been about all of our guests. DJ Khaled, if you're listening to the radio, anything hot, he's got his hands in. I'm talking Wale, Jay-Z, Drake, 2 Chainz. I'm thinking of anybody hot, you've touched it. Am I right?
I mean, that's what we do. You know what I'm saying? We make great music. One of the biggest hip-hop rap moguls in the game. We the best music group. Shout to Rose. But shout to Miami Heat. What's up? Here's some hat. I brought y'all some gifts. You know what I'm saying? Little hats.
I'll take the black one.
Dade County stand up. You know what it is. The champions. You know what it is.
He's definitely going to turn this crowd up. Skip Bayless.
So, before we talk sports,
yeah,
of all those great hip-hop artists you've had the privilege of working with, who was the easiest to work with?
Easiest to work with, I would probably say my brother Ross and Ace Hood. Those are like my family and my brothers for real. So, it's every day we in the studio together and we make great music together just every single day. You know what I'm saying?
It's interesting to note that Lil Wayne has been on the show. Drake has been on the show. 2 Chainz has been on the show. Wale obviously does our show open, been on the show. All good friends of yours, and now you're a friend of the show. So welcome. We're happy to have you.
I appreciate you, man.
You obviously picked the Heat. We know that you are a diehard Heat fan.
Dade County 305, Miami stand up.
Represent.
You know what I'm saying? Hey, you got to understand. You got to understand. We champions.
Yeah, that's what you do.
We
Let me ask you
champions.
a question. Now, obviously, I picked the Heat to win the series.
Thank you.
And we all know how much I love South Beach.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
But I got to ask you this question. People are critical of Miami in this respect. They say y'all never get to the games early.
Well,
why? Why is that?
Because Miami is a poppin' city. We got a lot of traffic. You know what I'm saying? A lot of Maybachs and Rolls Royces and Ferraris and some Dunks. You know what I'm saying? Some Chevy riding highs.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So the traffic get a little sticky sometimes.
But do you ever get to a point, seriously, do you ever get to a point where it's a particular game or whatever and y'all are like this? Yo, we got to roll up in there early. We got to make sure the noise is heard early.
Tonight.
All right.
Tonight, and I'm
so
gonna be at the
open and
game.
tap. Open and tap.
Yeah,
it ain't gonna be an empty seat in the house. That's what you're telling me?
Oh, it's sold out. It's sold
no,
out.
I'm talking about open and tap. Open and tip off.
It's everybody gonna be in their seats.
All right.
Everybody gonna be in their seats.
Okay. So tonight the Heat win by 30 or 40. Which would you say?
30 or 40.
I'm gonna keep it real with you. The Heat winning, period. You know what I'm saying? If it's 30 or 40, we champions. We always going to win. You know what I'm saying? We're going to win the whole series. We got King James. We got D-Wade. Udonis. By the way, happy birthday, Udonis. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, Udonis hadn't even played yet.
It don't matter.
He played last game.
We superstars. We superstars.
Okay. Recognize. Listen, I'm listening. Go
You
ahead.
got to understand, I'm real passionate about Miami Heat.
I see.
You got to understand, when I hear people talk, you got to respect us a little different. We champions. You got to kiss the ring. You know what I'm saying? We got the ring. You feel me? We champions. And listen. When you win so much, they start not to love you.
Oh, okay.
See, y'all know y'all got the hottest show. So they going to always hate. And when you winning, we going to continue winning, and they going to continue hating. We the champions. We the champions. Dade County. Hey, yo, Derek B., I see you 99 Jams, boy. What's up?
Okay, so do you give the Spurs any other games in this series? Will the Heat win out?
No.
It's over.
It's over.
Okay.
We're winning tonight, winning the next game, and then we're going to this.
You're going to win it in San Antonio.
We're going to San Antonio where they turned the AC off. They won that one game because they were cheaters. See, they got to win. Hold on, listen. They won, but they cheated. See, they practiced with no heat.
Oh, they practiced with no heat.
practiced
Do you
with
know
no-
that for a fact?
Of course I do.
Oh, okay.
Of course
Who's
I
your
do.
source on that?
No, it's the streets.
The streets have told Cali what's
I'm
up.
going to tell you what it is. I'm going to keep it real. See, they don't love you no more. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it's just the facts. And that's the only game they won. But see, with their legacy, they got to take that win with a cheating.
Okay.
So ain't no respect. We superstars.
I will say this. I got the Miami Heat winning this series.
Thank you.
But I don't think you're showing the Spurs the respect they deserve.
Well, let me just say something.
They did lose in 7.
Listen,
you know what I'm saying?
I respect everyone, right? But I can't respect somebody turning the AC off and cheat. I can't do it.
Well,
and the streets are saying they cheated.
Well, what if it just broke? Is that possible?
Of course not. Of course it didn't break. It's called backup systems. It's called.
Well, it did happen at the Super Bowl.
It
did happen at the Super Bowl.
But they fixed it though.
Yeah.
They fixed it though.
It took about an hour and a half.
But you know what? And that was exciting though. That was exciting.
Really?
Come on,
bro.
It came back on though. I heard the Spurs locker room had AC blowing.
No, it had fans. It did have fans.
Had fans?
Yeah.
That was a good cover-up. A little more air. You know what I'm saying? But, King James. We got King James.
Okay.
We got the best NBA player in the league.
DJ, explain this to me. Explain this one. Because I'm loving your wisdom here. Okay. If you have the world's greatest and fittest athlete, and he realizes during warm-ups, the AC ain't working tonight.
No.
How can he not avoid cramps in that game?
Let me tell you
and I'm
why.
talking about King James.
Okay. It's actually being smart. You know what I'm saying? Because we're not going to fall for the trap. You're not going to try to hurt us, physically try to hurt us and make us not be able to play the next game. We're not playing that. I understand the strategy, but the strategy is this. We are champions. And you have to do something. You have to kiss the ring.
Okay.
We are champions. This is Miami.
Help me out on this one.
Okay, go ahead.
It's Dade County.
Last year, right across the causeway here at American Airlines Arena, there somehow, some way, the San Antonio Spurs were up 5 points with 28 seconds left in Game 6 to an NBA title. Yeah. They're bringing out the rope. They're about to present the trophy.
Yeah.
And a lot of Heat fans are running out into the night because they've given up on their team. How do you explain that happened last year?
Only thing I can say about that is we have the ring. And that's all that matters. You're always going to try to bring something up when somebody's wearing the ring. They don't love you no more. It is what it is.
Okay,
you know what I'm saying? We champions.
So Khaled,
champions.
your argument, period, for the Heat is that they just hate on greatness. That's just what it is.
We the greatest. When are people going to realize to pay homage? Like, when is it going to be like, you know what? We got to continue showing them love and saluting them until they lose the ring. The problem is we never going to lose the ring.
Oh, okay.
We got King James.
Where are you sitting?
I'm sitting You're going to like these seats. They're the best seats in the house. I'm sitting right next to the Spurs. The camera seats, TV seats. You're going to see me and Rick Ross on there. And let me tell you why I'm sitting there.
I always see Rick Ross, but when I'm asking you that question is for this reason. You bowl right now, and I appreciate it.
Oh, I got you.
But I'm going to be looking at you when – don't let me see you nervous.
Listen.
Don't let me see you nervous.
You my guy. I like your style because you keep it 100. I'm never nervous. I'm a champion. Champions don't get nervous.
Okay. Our next guest just made his pick. He's going with Miami. He just finished up a pretty decent season with the Clippers. You were a former first-round pick. You went straight to Bobcats. Now you're playing with the Clippers. We enjoy you.
Yes. I love being here, hanging out with the fellas here today.
You do. He's been on the show a billion times. We miss you.
Yes.
How you been?
I've been good.
All right, so we have a lot to get to with you.
Yes.
Okay, we'll talk about the Clippers in a moment, but explain your pick. Miami in 7, 6?
6. Miami in 6. I'm not going to go against LeBron. I think game 2 is on a different level. And to be honest with you, without that cramps, we could be 2-0 here in South Beach. And I feel strongly about my pick. The Spurs are really good. I just feel like LeBron's at a different level right now than everybody else on the floor.
Did you guys have to play the San Antonio Spurs this year? If memory serves, I think you did, didn't you?
In the regular season and playoffs, OKC got us. But no, Spurs is a really good team.
So how do you explain that the Spurs took this team to the brink a year ago, and now you think they're not as good? They won't get as far as they did a year ago,
yeah,
right?
I definitely think Tim Duncan, you think
he's getting
slowing
too old?
down.
Is that what you're saying?
I don't think he's getting too old because you see him game 1 and game 2. I just think the Heat with LeBron is such a huge factor where he can just take his greatness to a whole another level compared to somebody else. And I know these role players are going to play even better. Chalmers hasn't played pretty well in the first 2 games. They play better at home. Haslam, Battier. I see these X factors coming up big and them taking 2 games here.
Okay. Do you realize that during the regular season, the San Antonio Spurs had the best road record in the NBA by 5 games? Does that say anything to you?
It does say something to you. It says it's a veteran team. They've been around for over a decade together. Pop, he knows how to win. But this is not an easy team here. The Heat, 2-time champions, LeBron, Wade, and Bosh on a mission, and I got them winning this.
What has you convinced that the Miami Heat will do better against the San Antonio Spurs this year, meaning winning the finals in lesser games than they did last year? What is it that stands out in your mind that makes that difference for you?
The format. I think them not having home court because they got one in San Antonio. I don't think anyone's beaten them at home this year for the playoffs. I see them going home, taking care of business, going back to San Antonio. San Antonio's not going to lose 3 straight. We know that. Go back to South Beach here and 3-peat.
So you have So essentially, you have the Miami Heat protecting its home court and not losing a game at home.
Yes, that is correct. I think just the X factors of Chalmers, these bench players play better at home. We all know that. It's always been around. And on the road, you saw LeBron and basically Bosh and Wade carry them. And I see Birdman. You hear Birdman out here. Big home games here for the Heat.
So, Jared, would you agree with the premise that we've been kicking around on the show today, that Miami has the 3 best players on the floor tonight? Is that would you go there?
I wouldn't go there. I definitely think Tony is just as good as Wade and Bosh when he's at his best.
He is not at his best right now.
You know what? He's a human being. I mean, people have bad games, but if Tony Parker came out tonight and had 27 to win, would you be surprised here next morning show?
I would be shocked.
Really?
Seriously, I don't think he's very healthy right now.
That's true.
And I think he's playing on fumes because he played all summer and they won. France won the Eurobasket championship.
In Euro.
I mean, game 1, you saw Tim Duncan. I thought he was a man amongst boys. That game 1 did what he wanted with Bosh. They kept trying to front him. He had position, so I wouldn't go that far. But LeBron is so much better than everyone on the floor that he can take over 2 or 3 guys.
All right, you guys.
Is Wade better than anybody else the Spurs have? As a number 2?
You know what? No, I wouldn't say that. I mean, Wade has those games where he can be the best guy on the floor at times, but overall total, I think Duncan and Parker can definitely have better games than Wade game 3 and 4.
I have nothing to say. He sounds very prophetic, sounds very wise. Doesn't sound like somebody that's listening to Skip Bayless in any way. So we appreciate that.
It sounds like someone who came on here specifically to refute everything that I've said about the San Antonio Spurs.
That's a wise approach.
And I remind Jared, even though he's preaching to a choir here. He does have to face the Spurs next year.
Yes.
Right? Well, maybe 4 times next year?
Always. I mean, we respect them. I come on here as an analyst, and I'm giving you my opinion playing both teams. Obviously, the Heat, I mean, you got to beat these guys 4 out of 7 times. It's very difficult. No one's done it these last couple of years, and I think their growing periods where they had with Dallas, it's going to be a tough task. But if there's any team, it could be the Spurs, but I don't see it this year.
Do you remember one game that you played this year against the Spurs in which Tiago Splitter outplayed Blake Griffin? Do you remember that game?
No, I don't remember that. I do not remember that.
I could show you the box score.
You don't remember that game?
And this man continues to disrespect Tiago, as he did the other night on SportsCenter. And I think he's saying Tiago has no chance in this series.
Well, he's not doing it in this series. He hasn't proved he's no longer the scrub he was a couple of years ago. But he's not doing much this series. And for you to mention him in the same breath as Blake Griffin,
he outplayed him. According to the box score.
It was at your building.
That is disrespectful right there.
It is?
Yes.
You don't remember the game?
Yes. Yeah, but they the Spurs, they don't need just one guy. It could be Danny Green, it could be Kawhi Leonard. Tiago Splitter doesn't have to have a big series. Boris Diaw, as you see, can be a huge X factor.
By the way, speaking of the Clippers,
yes,
what was it like for y'all, particularly this postseason, with everything that you had to deal with the whole fallout from Donald Sterling and everything else? What was this? What have these last couple of months been like for you guys?
You know, it was crazy, to be honest with you. We had a meeting beforehand, before it even broke, that this girl was going to basically come out with something with Donald Sterling. No one knew what it was.
Wow.
And I think once we got to the room and TMZ broke the story, you're listening to the audio, and I felt the same way everyone here felt it. Very disturbed. People, we were talking about should we play, should we not play. Well, we weren't going to let that man affect our championship aspirations, so we continue to play.
How close did you come to not playing?
That's a good question. Maybe at a percentage, maybe 20%. It wasn't like a high percentage.
Okay.
We tried to. I thought we overthought it about doing stuff with the shirts over, and it kind of affected us. But in no chance did it made us lose the series. Next series was OKC, but
you do think it cost you that game?
Yeah,
I thought that game, just the mindset, instead of getting prepared for the team task, we're thinking about what we're going to do before the game. And in the playoffs, you can't have any slip-ups.
Have you been able to interact much with Donald Sterling through the year?
You know what, to be honest with you, when he flew to San Francisco with us, that was the first time on the airplane. There's been kind of some team functions, but overall, he's not in the picture. But still, man, I mean.
What do you mean he's not in the picture? Not
in the picture,
day-to-day?
like he doesn't come to practice. He's not on the road with us. He's not an owner like a Mark Cuban that you see on a daily basis. But I think we all were a little disturbed, and I think total as a league, everybody wants him out.
But it's fair to say that there's no way in hell y'all want to play for him.
No, that's very fair to say.
Had you heard stories before all this broke
We
about
heard some of the stories about the real estate and different Hispanics, how he dealt with. But overall, I can't go by the past. All I know is what happened with us. And as a unit, the NBA, no one wants him to be the owner.
So where do you think it goes from here now that he's dug back in and says, I'm going to fight?
I think he's going to fight to the end. I don't think anyone. I think he's going to get banned by the owners, and I'm curious what the other owners are going to say.
Thank you.
I want that to be public.
So do I.
Stand.
So do we.
And then afterwards, once we know if it's not unanimous, we'll have a show here again about which owners, and then we got to get them out. Plain and simple.
Yeah, sounds good to me.
All right. Jared Dudley, ladies and gentlemen. Give it up for him. We appreciate you for being here.
Thank you.
He picked the Heat, folks, so you should give it up for him as he preaches to the choir.
Here's my prediction.
Give it to him.
If DeAndre Jordan can hit free throws, I think that the Clippers could be here next year.
I agree. Not only, yes. Big year for us next year.
Clippers maybe next year. I don't know.
I think your point guard is going to have to play at a higher level.
Oh, boy. Not the point guard conversation. Not the point guard conversation.
But Jared can't comment on that.
We're back. We're live at the Clevelander Hotel. Skip may be taking a challenge to get into the pool because they said Skip in the pool. Are you going to take that challenge?
Me in the pool?
Yeah.
I feel like jumping in the pool. I'll tell you what. I'll jump in the pool if you all jump in the lake. Okay, I got to ask Stephen A. Smith about something. Hang on one second. This sing-song chant that you keep inciting here as we come back from break, is it original with the Heat fans here? I've heard other fans do it.
No, not that.
They did it? It started here? Are you sure of that?
Oh!
I don't think it's original.
I don't. We need a researcher on it. Deontay, get on it.
You know where it came from? They don't do that in Chicago. They don't do that in New York.
They don't do it in LA.
It doesn't matter.
I think they do it at soccer matches.
Oh,
I do.
They do.
I think it's not
They
original.
do.
Well, I'm sorry.
And
I haven't been to soccer match.
Well, neither have I. I just watch on TV.
All right, then.
But
I haven't heard that.
I had Deontay, our researcher, look this up.
Okay, you did.
It was inspired by a song, 2003, by a group called the White Stripes. So that you took it from a group called the White Stripes, and now it's the Miami Heat's original chant?
Yes.
Really?
So what's the problem?
Interesting.
It's a little lame to me.
It's
a
just
little
a lame.
Yeah.
Skip
Who cares
says your
what you
chant
think?
is lame.
Who cares? Your opinion doesn't matter in South Beach.
Mayor
Yes, it
likes
does.
it.
Nobody cares what he thinks in
Yes,
South
he
Beach.
does.
The
They
mayor
care.
likes it.
They care.
Nobody cares.
Yes, they do.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's get back to the task at hand. The topic, Game 3 tonight. That's why we're here. Mayor, who wins?
Miami. I mean, what do I need to repeat myself? I mean, look. The San Antonio Spurs will come out and they will play tough. It will be a tight first half, nip and tuck, back and forth. And then all of a sudden, Dwayne Wade will get going. Mario Chalmers, there will be a sighting tonight. And of course,
I already predicted
and of course, LeBron James will have his moment yet again. But Miami, unlike Game 2 where LeBron took over, tonight the San Antonio Spurs are going to get hit from a multitude of spots. In this particular game, it will just be a barrage, the likes that have not been seen since the Indiana Pacers suffered at the hands of the Miami Heat.
So what do you got? Heat by 38?
No, I got him by
28.
15.
He said 15.
Only by 15 on a
That's
barrage
it.
that has been unseen in the annals
will
of the
pull
NBA?
away. They will pull
Really?
away. They will
And we
pull
got
away.
King of the World James tonight, and you can only win by 15?
There you go again.
The Spurs won by 15 in Game 1.
And they'll know what it feels like in Game 3.
Wow. Well, you know what? These brilliant fans here, these passionate, great Miami Heat fans, they have convinced me for 2 long hours that my Spurs have no shot tonight.
Okay.
So this series is basically over. So I've got to say the Heat will have basically a victory parade game tonight.
All right.
Listen, three-peat.
Already.
It's all
done.
over.
It's done.
This is going to be the Heat's night. I got 101 to 87.
101 to 87.
And I also have Spurs in 6.
Skip has Spurs in 6, 101 to 87, giving it up to Miami tonight. Stephen A says Miami will win by 15 points. Mayor, you want to thank your fans?
Thank you. Thank you. I tried to tell y'all what's coming.
What's coming?
Tonight, bring the heat. Before the Heat show up, we will see y'all here tomorrow where there will be a celebration for Miami going up 2-1.
All right.
Until then,
That's lame.
Thank you. All week long, Clevelander Hotel, we expect to see you. For Skip Bayless and Stephen A. Smith, your mayor, I'm Carrie Champion. This is First Take. We're on the road for the NBA Finals, 10 a.m. Eastern on ESPN2.
The next big thing, the next new kid, the next overnight sensation, the next rookie, one to watch, the next Hall of Famer, the next intimidator, the next 6-time, the next king. Next. Who's next? Let's find out. Names are made here. The NASCAR Nationwide Series at Michigan, Saturday at 1:30 Eastern on ESPN.